Hello again and welcome to another video. During this video we're going to be marking out the incomplete lines on this unfinished Jeep. Okay, on top we have the finished example. For this exercise we're going to need a ruler, set squares, compasses, and a pencil. To complete this exercise, you don't need both of your set squares, you're just going to need one. During the demonstration, I'm going to be using the set square with the 45-degree angles. However, the 30-60 degree set square will also be handy as well. Always if you just have that set square at hand. And now let's take out the ruler, pencil, and compass, and let's start. First, we're going to take our compasses and we're going to complete the tires of this incomplete Jeep. As we could see in our given example, there's this mid-circle in between the smallest circle and the largest circle. So as you could see, there's this given point on the tires. That's going to be the radius of the mid-circle. So let's open our compass from the center point to that given point. Hold your compass from its knob and slowly draw your circle. Careful to not let your compass slip. To avoid having your compass from slipping, you must always put the pressure on the needle and not the pencil, always on the needle. And to make your circle even darker, all you have to do is just redraw your circle, okay? And then it will start to appear darker. Now we're going to be drawing the chassis for this Jeep. This 20mm line is going to be drawn by the use of a ruler and a set square. Now, to draw a perpendicular line, we're going to take out our ruler and rest it on a straight line. Okay, so I'm going to rest it on this baseline right here, where the Jeep is resting. Then, let's take out our set square. In this case, I have the 45-degree set square, and rest it on top of our ruler. Make sure that you keep your ruler fixed in place. And you see there, we're going to be creating perpendicular lines wherever we're going to slide the set square. Now let's rest the set square where we're going to start our line. Make sure that this set square is not moving, and then you'll draw your construction line. Now let's mark the 20mm measurement that we have here. So take out your ruler and mark the 20mm. And then, of course, we're going to be doing this at the end, but later you're going to be darkening those lines. And in this exercise, you're going to better see the difference between a construction line and an outline. Okay? And please don't erase the construction lines, because otherwise I will not be able to identify that you completed this exercise with a set square. Now let's complete the other perpendicular line. Now again, for the other vertical line, we're going to repeat the same steps. First, you're going to rest your ruler on the same baseline that we used before. Take out your set square and rest it on top of your ruler. Slide the set square on where you're going to start your construction line. Make sure that you're holding both the ruler and set square. And then draw a slightly longer construction line, then mark the line with the 20mm measurement. And then, of course, later we're going to be darkening the proper line, the actual line that belongs to this Jeep, but we'll leave that for later. And now to complete the chassis, we're going to join these 2 points together. However, I'm not going to draw through the circles where I have the circles intersecting with my line. Now let's move on to the body of the Jeep. So this line right here is 5mm away from the chassis. And once again, it is also 20mm long. So first we're going to mark 5mm away from the edge of our chassis. And then we're going to repeat the same steps. To be closer to my line, instead of resting the ruler onto that baseline, I'm going to be resting it on the baseline of the chassis, on the lowest line of the chassis. And then let's once again take out our set square, have a firm grip on both the ruler and set square, draw a very light, long construction line. And please don't exaggerate, do not make it too long. And then mark the 20mm measurement. And now let's move on to the other side. This time, instead of 5mm, we're going to move 10mm away from the edge of the chassis. And as we could see on the other side, this line is once again 20mm in height. Now let's go to this corner and move 10mm further away, okay, from the edge of the chassis. And then let's repeat the same steps. Rest your ruler on the baseline of your chassis. Rest your set square on your ruler and on the point of where you're going to start your construction line. Make a line longer than 20mm. Mark the 20mm on the line. And then you could join those 2 points. Alright, that looks good. Let's join those 2 points together. And now all is left for us to do in terms of line work, we have to finish that square that we have surrounding that 4x4. And this square is 50mm away from the edge of the body. So first let's mark the 50mm. Alright, let's mark the 50mm, and now let's repeat the same steps for drawing a perpendicular line with a set square. Okay, make sure that you hold both the ruler and set square together and draw your construction line. The other construction line starts from this corner of this parallelogram right here. So again, rest your ruler on the chassis, the baseline of the chassis, and then go to that corner with the set square and draw a perpendicular line. And now let's darken out the outlines. To darken out the outlines, we're only going to be using a ruler and pencil. Now please remember to not darken the construction lines. Make sure to leave the construction lines visible. Do not erase them in any way, just leave them visible. However, do not darken them. Only darken the lines that belong to the final shape. In this case, it is the depiction of this Jeep. Alright, now we have to color certain details which are on this Jeep. Let's start by completing the 4x4 sign on the body of this Jeep. So let's start. So the first line is 2 squares to the right from the top. The other line is 1 square up from the bottom. The bottom line is 2 squares to the right. And this line is 1 square to the right from the last line we drew and 1 square up. Alright, now let's join these two lines together. Let's create this vertical, well, technically it's a diagonal line. Just remember to leave that gap. For the horizontal line of the 4. And let's draw the final few lines. Okay, now let's draw the inner part of this number 4. Now to draw the vertical line, I suggest that you go up just 1 full square and a little bit. Now let's continue with the times symbol. The times symbol is 3 squares to the right from the horizontal line of the number 4, which is on the top line. So draw a line, a space, and then another line. And make sure the bottom 2 lines are aligned with the grid, okay? So 2 lines at the top and 2 lines at the bottom, always aligned with the grid. Now let's connect these lines diagonally. Connect the upper left with the lower right, and connect the upper right with the lower left. And then darken only the lines which belong to the final answer, okay? Leave the rest of the lines as construction lines. And now let's draw the final number, which is 4 squares. So the topmost horizontal line is 4 squares to the right from the X symbol. Now the final step is for us to color this Jeep in the assigned colors, which are red, pink, and black. First, I'm going to start by coloring in the squares of the flag. Okay, so let's zoom in so I'll show you exactly how I'm coloring each square. To stop yourself from coloring outside of the lines of each square, it's always ideal to first color around the square's outlines and then fill it in later. And now let's color the 4x4 in red. And finally, let's color the checkered pattern onto the chassis of our Jeep. Same as we did before, it's always ideal to first color around the outline of your square and then fill in the rest later. Alright, now that's our finished exercise. I hope that you found this video interesting. Now see you on the next one.